Today we're diving into a story that feels like it's ripped straight from a modern thriller. We're talking about raw political ambition, poison, deception, and a perfectly executed plan for revenge. So, let's start with a question, and I want you to really put yourself in this situation. Your father, probably the most powerful man you know, is dead, poisoned. And the killer? He's your dad's closest rival, a man whose life your father literally just spared. Now he's coming for the throne. What's your next move? This isn't fiction. This was the brutal reality for a young man named Herod.
Okay, so our story really begins, like so many great tragedies do, with a feast and a fatal betrayal. This is Act 1. This is where that first crucial domino falls.
To get the picture, you have to understand the setting. We're in Judea, but it's really under Roman control. The guy who's supposed to be in charge is the governor, Hyrcanus, but the real power behind the throne, that belongs to a man named Antipater, Herod's father. But he's got this shadow, this rival named Malichus, who wants his spot, and he wants it badly.
And the cycle of treachery here is just, wow. It's so simple and so brutal. Malichus plots against Antipater. Antipater finds out about it, but decides to show mercy. And how does Malichus repay this kindness? With a cup of poison. It's a harsh lesson, right? In this high-stakes game for power, mercy can get you killed.
So you see, Antipater wasn't just a father. He was the entire foundation of his family's power. His death isn't just a personal tragedy for his son Herod. It's a political earthquake. It creates this massive power vacuum that threatens to swallow his whole family. The game has totally changed, and now there's a debt of blood that has to be paid.
All right, let's move on to Act 2, because this is where it gets really interesting. With Antipater out of the picture, all eyes are on his son. And Herod's reaction, well, it's not at all what anyone expects. Instead of pure rage, we see this incredible ice-cold patience.
Now don't get me wrong, Herod is furious. His first instinct is to grab an army and march on Malichus right then and there. But his brother, Phasaelus, is the voice of reason here. He pulls him back, warning him that a direct attack would just look like a power grab. It could rip the whole nation apart in a civil war, and honestly, they could lose. This forces Herod to stop thinking like a soldier and start thinking like his father, like a politician.
And this is where we see Herod's political genius. It's absolutely brilliant. Publicly, he plays the part of the grieving, dutiful son. He accepts Malichus's lies, his crocodile tears. He holds a massive funeral and makes it seem like he's moving on. But privately, no, it's a whole different story. He's secretly writing letters to the real power in the region, the Roman general, Cassius, and he's spelling out the entire ugly affair. He doesn't just ask for revenge. He gets official Roman sanction to carry it out.
And that brings us to Act 3, the climax. All of Herod's quiet, patient plotting is about to pay off in one final, deadly confrontation. The trap is officially set.
Now, Malichus wasn't a fool. He senses something's off. He's in the city of Tyre, and he starts getting paranoid, deciding it's time to make his own move. And his plan is incredibly ambitious. He wants to escape back to Judea, start a revolution against Rome, overthrow the governor, and make himself king. The stakes just went through the roof.
But here's the thing, as the historian Josephus so perfectly puts it, fate laughed at the hopes he had. Why? For Herod foresaw what he was so zealous about. Basically, Malichus was playing checkers, and Herod was playing three-dimensional chess. For every move Malichus was thinking about, Herod was already 2 steps ahead.
The plan itself is just beautiful in its simplicity. Herod does something very public. He invites both Malichus and Governor Hyrcanus to supper. It looks like a friendly gesture, but during the meal, he casually sends a servant out on an errand. Of course, it wasn't an errand, it was a signal. The Roman tribunes, with their secret orders from Cassius, see the sign and quietly move into position down on the dark seashore.
So, Malichus, probably feeling pretty good after a friendly dinner, takes a walk outside towards the sea. And that's when the trap springs. The soldiers just appear. They surround him, there's no trial, no negotiation, they cut him down. The debt for Antipater's murder is finally paid, in blood.
Back at the feast, the chaos is so intense that the governor, Hyrcanus, literally faints from shock. When he finally comes to, his first question tells you everything. Who did this? In that moment of pure terror, he's not asking about justice. He's asking who holds the real power now.
And here's the checkmate. A Roman tribune just coldly replies, Cassius. Now look at Hyrcanus' response. Whether it was genuine relief or just pure abject fear, he immediately endorses the assassination.
By getting the governor to praise the killing, Herod hasn't just gotten revenge, he's turned it into a celebrated act of state, legitimized by the very ruler he would one day depose.
So let's just recap the fallout here. This wasn't just a simple murder, it was a complete restructuring of power. Malichus is gone, the assassination has the official stamp of Roman approval, and Herod has just sent a brutal, crystal-clear message to any other rivals. If you challenge me, you're not just challenging a man, you're challenging Rome itself. He has proven he is his father's son, and maybe, just maybe, a whole lot more dangerous.
Which brings us to our final big question. What did we just witness here? Was this an act of righteous vengeance, a son doing his duty to avenge his father? Or was it a cold-blooded calculation, the first ruthless step taken by a man who would stop at absolutely nothing to become king? That's the question that historians are still debating today.